Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Xenon Profiteers. This is a 2 to 4 player game published by Griffin Games. In Xenon Profiteers, you're trying to basically distill out as much Xenon as you can to complete contracts and upgrade your engine as fast as possible, because the game will end when someone gets to 5 contracts and or 5 upgrades. Let's go ahead down to the table here and I'll give you a general idea how the game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Xenon Profiteers. In Xenon Profiteers, you're trying to get the most points possible through basically distilling down your hand. This is a hand shedding game. Fulfilling contracts and upgrading your plant. The game will end when someone gets either 5 upgrades or 5 contracts completed. At that point, that player will get the 3-point bonus token, and they can pick whether they want the 3 points or to take another turn. Whatever they pick, the other players will each get a turn, and when it comes back to that player, if they pick the 3 points, the game's over. If they picked a final turn, they get one more turn, and then the game ends. That is how you're going to win the game. Well, how do you play the game? Well, to start out the game, you're going to get one of each of these cards, 2 sets of them. So you'll have 2 sets of these. You'll also get a feeder card and a reflux card. And you'll shuffle these up, and you will draw 5 cards. All right. So once you draw your 5 cards, this is your hand. Now, if you take a look at your hand, what you can do is you're going to decide whether you want to take the normal action here, which you're going to get all of your things you can do. You can distill, you can bring in more air or wipe, you can buy or bid. Or you can flip this and get to distill twice and bid twice. If you flip this, you won't be able to do this action again next turn, so you can only do this like every other turn if you really wanted to. So let's just go over what each of these mean. So if I do distill, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out every matching card that I want. So I have 2 of these. I can get them out and return them here. Now, I'm not down to Xenon, which is my goal. I have nitrogen oxygen, but maybe I'm okay with that for right now. So I'm going to keep these in my hand, and then I can decide whether I want to do the air or the wipe. All right, so if I do the air, what I'm going to do is I'll get one of each of these cards, and I will put them in my discard pile. And I will also get 2 monies. Now, if I decide to wipe, I will actually wipe all the cards from one of these rows, so they'll go in the discard pile, and I'll put 4 more out. The only exception to this is if a bidding token's on any of these cards, they can't be wiped. All right. The next thing you can do is you can buy or bid. So if I buy, I have to pay the price of the card on the top right-hand corner here. If I pay this total cost down here, I get to put it in my tableau, and it's permanent. So what that means is if I pay this 2 right here, it goes into my discard pile, and I can draw it and I can play it like a card. If I pay 7 here, it immediately gets upgraded in my tableau, and it's a permanent ability. Now later on from my hand, I can pay the difference, which is this 5, and I can install it. So there's an advantages to being able to install these cards, meaning it's a permanent ability that you get to use all the time, but it costs a lot of money. But if I want that ability but I don't have the money, I can pay the 2 and pick it up and put it in my hand. Contracts, which are these guys, are always free. So I can pick up a contract. This is the points I get for completing it. Some of them have money, which will be in the middle here, like this one that you get for completing it. But I need this much Xenon to complete it, and I can only ever have 1 contract at a time. Once I complete a contract, I can flip it over and get another contract if I want for my action. Now the bid, you could take one of your bid tokens and place it on a card. If you do that, and it's in one of these upgrade tokens, that will prevent it from being able to be wiped. It'll make this one cost $1 more for an opponent to pick up, and it costs you $1 less to pick up yourself. Also, when they wipe, it won't go away, and you can do this round after round as many times as you want, and this will keep reducing the price as you go and keep increasing the price for the opponents. You only have 5 bid tokens, and that's the most you can have. You can move a bid token on your turn from one to another, and that is bidding. So that's it for that. If I choose this side right here, there's a couple different things that happens. I will be able to distill twice, I'll be able to bid twice, and then that's all I get to do on my turn, and then I get to reshuffle my discard into my deck. Other than that, the only other time you're going to reshuffle is going to be when you run out of cards. So let's say I'm now at the end of my turn. I could just choose how many cards I want to discard and draw up. So I will choose this, and I'll draw up to my 5 cards. And the reason I did that is because I don't need the Xenon in my hand right now, and I want to try to get rid of many cards as I can. So I do have this reflux. I can discard a card from your hand on the distill action. So that's helpful, but I don't want to really care about that right now. Now this time I'm actually going to flip it, and I'm going to do the double distill so I can get rid of the nitrogen and the oxygen. And then that means that I can bid twice. So let's say I actually put a bid token on here. You know what? I'll put a bid token on here again and here. So that would be it. Now, you're going to continue doing this until someone completes 5 contracts. I'm going to keep this card in my hand. 5 contracts. Once someone's completed 5 contracts or 5 upgrades, the game will end. And again, that person will get that. But a couple other cool things that can happen in this game is you can increase your pipeline. So if you increase your pipeline, let's see if we can find one or two here. There's different level pipelines in here. Wait, what am I talking about? One second. You can increase your pipeline with a couple different things. Hold on. Yeah, they were in this deck. My So I could pay 5, and I can increase my pipeline. You have to do these in order, so this would go here. And then there's other ones in here, so I could increase this gray. And then I could do it again for this. All right, so what does this mean? So if I purchase these and increase my pipeline, a couple different things will happen. So if I do this, this card's worth 1 point at the end of the game, right here. And I get to draw 6 cards instead of 5. If I do it again, each of these cards is worth 2 points. See the little thing right here? So it's 4 points, and I get to draw 7 cards. If I do it a third time, each of these cards is worth 3 points. So that's 9 points at the end of the game, and I get to draw 8 cards. So that can be amazing. So that's it. Where you're going to get your points is going to be from this, from some of your upgrades and cards will have points for doing different things, and mainly these contracts will give you straight up points that you complete. Any uncompleted contracts don't count for points at the end of the game, and of course you also get points for getting this if you picked not the other turn. The additional thing is you can get points for coins, and that is every 5 coins is worth 1 point at the end of the game. So that's it for Xenon Profiteers. Let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. So Xenon Profiteers is a pretty cool, fun game. I really like it as a hand shedding game. If you're the player that really likes to basically play deck building games where you're trying to shed cards from your deck as fast as possible, like I am that type of player, this is pretty much up your alley. That's what you're doing the entire game. You're trying to shed cards out of your hands. You're trying to get your upgrades onto the table and out of your hands. You're trying to keep it as streamlined as possible, and then you can pull in more air. It messes up your hand a little bit, but you can use a lot of strategy on when you pull in your air and when you shuffle them into the deck. So one thing I didn't mention is that when you go to the opposite side there and you do the double distill, you can also use that to your advantage for reshuffling your deck early. So you have to think about that too, because otherwise you have to wait until you run to the end deck. Maybe you want to reshuffle your deck in because you gathered a whole bunch of air and you want to start it. Get all that out so you can have hands of nitrogen and that you're just placing out on the table and getting out of your hand and completing these contracts. So a lot of different things to think about in Xenon Profiteer, a lot of different strategies that are a little nuancy for the game itself, and a game that is straightforward for what you're trying to do. So I really appreciate for that. Upgrades have really cool game, well, not quite game breaking, but really cool engine building things that you can do throughout the game. You've got to balance those out between that and getting your contracts, because not all of those give you points, but the contracts all give you points and money to help you out throughout the game. So if you like deck building games, and especially if you like games where you're going to be like shedding cards from your deck all the time and trying to make it as efficient as possible and then make it inefficient by getting more air in, this game is probably going to be for you. And that's Xenon Profiteer. Thank you for watching.